Greetings, observers, and welcome to Aliens and Ghosts Live from the beautiful space coast of Florida. I'm Mike S., and I'd like to welcome you to Aliens and Ghosts Live TV. Nice view up here at TR-3B flying over the moon, and wouldn't it be? Woo! It'd be a nice looking little satellite for sure, but some cool images there from the Japanese spacecraft here. You guys check these out, the Selene craft. But yeah, they know how to use the dust too, man. Just whew. Hire them at Dunkin' Donuts. They just popped. I mean, it took them a year, really, to edit. Well, look at this Earthrise. What a killer video from back in the day. Just a kind of recreation of it with this image, but that's cool. But yeah, dusted like crazy. If you guys haven't checked out the Aliens and Ghosts Live vid on that, go check it out. There, we found some pretty weird stuff, but yeah, it seems like every time you get to something that looks like something, boom, camera angle changes or it's edited out, so it's, but they learn from the best, I guess, so they know how to cover some of that stuff up, but regardless, we'll get there independently and we'll check it out ourselves, because I don't think we're going to be denied what this channel is about. And what this channel is about, what I set out to do is we're going to find the truth about our solar system. That's what's about the history. We don't want to repeat the same mistakes we might have made previously, which we'll dig into that a little bit more. But did we have something to do with the destruction of Mars? Is that really what the cover-up's about? It's not so much just a little craft landed in a desert, but something way bigger about our species. I don't know. But we'll hang on here. We did it. I think all the check sounds good. Audio's good. All that's good, right? All right. Well, I'd like to thank you if you guys did come here and join us on Aliens and Ghosts Live TV. This is our real. We've been through some, tries at trying to do it, but I just want to be able to chew the fat with you guys and see what you guys think. Chime in if there's something that interests you. You think we ought to chew the fat about? Let's chew it up. Hit me with the comments, and we'll see if we can start leaning away. But you look at the study of ufology nowadays, like you look at some of these big channels, some of them going under, but some of them, when I see something else that's legit recent, I'll put it out there in a video, but literally, guys, it's nothing more than just balloons and just nonsense. Somebody pulling somebody on a boat, some balloons and just some lead light in a dark closet. And, they pump them out, don't even put anything into it, stick them out there. And people are supposed to think that's actually alien craft. I mean, come on, man. I mean, what a disservice, right? Or am I just out there by myself on this? Just like some big channels tell you too, that people are afraid to come out and put their name on a list that says that they believe that aliens and this and that. Are you kidding me? I'll put my name out there any day. It'd be nonsense for me not to believe. Our history's riddled with it. And some of the videos we do see, those are legit. And some of the NASA photos and stuff, they are legit. But a lot of the junk we see, which are, getting trillions of likes, and they're getting paid, and that's all they care about. They don't care about the true study of ufology. And that's what we're about. We're not just going to fake it and show you a bunch of junk. Or we could put out 1,000 videos a day. Just like we did a recent one. It turns out pretty much it was just a blimp. Another one from Balloon Sighted Daily, but it's just nonsense. But what's your guys' take? This is what we should be about. It's our imagination that drives us into space, that shows us, how to create certain things. People take it into careers and stuff like that. But what's your guys doing? I mean, do you like taking photos of, videos of the moon, or you guys do this or that? Are you into the actual engineering? Are you in the space industry? I was lucky enough. When I was a kid, I grew up in a NASA and an Air Force-based home. So to me, sure, people are going to cover up some stuff they're obligated to. The seriousness of the topic's huge. And to just think you could just spill your guts about everything that could be, a defensive measure for our planet is, in my mind, kind of ridiculous. That's why I'm a little bit out there. I'm not going to scream about it. They're only going to show you what they can. That stinks to think that, but independently and privately, I think we could do it ourselves. We can. We could send things there to ourselves. We can, invest in it. We could push towards it. That's what we're about. We want people to be involved in all the parts that make the search for alien life and us to become the aliens possible. But there's some interesting stuff. If you guys follow us on Facebook, I've been posting some wild stories about the sun, so let's dive right into it here at Aliens Ghost Live TV and let's check one out. Like this one right here, the Solar, Wind, and Planets article published by the Great Course Daily on November 28th, 2020. Light and heat aren't the only things coming from the sun, as we all know. There is also ionized mass from the sun hitting the planets. You know, that's what, let me just stop here for a minute and talk to you about this star we call the sun, the Sol. That's one thing people are really freaked out about, are stars blowing to you know what, because they're so massive, like the magnetars and the neutron stars. Gravitational fields they do, and black holes. Okay, so the sun is a serious deal, and we're just a little pebble floating around me. You know, a decade ago, because I like watching SOHOs, but a decade ago, man, it was that the sun looked like an absolute campfire, just wild and out of control. I mean, it looks kind of calm now. That's what we're talking about here at Waking Up a Bit. All right, so let's go on with it. What we call the solar winds. Solar winds can cause major disruptions, as we know, to our solar system, especially to our planet like Earth. What are these possible disruptions and how can they be mitigated? The mass in the solar wind, sorry about that, you guys, you know, we're ironing out the bugs here. The mass in the solar winds is made of plasma. The fourth state of matter, plasma, occurs when atoms have so much energy they separate into protons, electrons, and helium nuclei. This plasma originates in the sun's atmosphere, which is just the star sign alone is just wild, you know. Okay, so creation of the solar winds on the sun. The sun's atmosphere is divided into two layers, the chromosphere and the corona. Above the opaque photosphere, or the surface of the sun, is the chromosphere layer, which is a few thousand kilometers thick. The temperature increases with height here, reaching about 10,000 degrees at the top of the chromosphere. Fibrous jets known as specules appear and travel through the photosphere in about 10 minutes, carrying plasma to higher altitudes. Yeah, but I was watching something too. I mean, that sucker turns around and starts heating up like a campfire. That's what people are really worried about, because just one good one could really do some serious damage. Above the chromosphere is the corona, which is several million kilometers thick. The corona can best be seen during a solar eclipse because it appears as a halo surrounding a blocked out sunset, which we've seen that. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the corona is where the solar wind originates. The sun's gravitational force is too weak in the corona to hold onto the energetic hot plasma, and hence the plasma gets accelerated to high speeds. The temperature spikes to around 2 million Kelvin, but since the density of the plasma is much lower in the photosphere, we don't actually see the light from this region. The sun emits about 1.5 million tons of superheated plasma per second out in the solar. Yeah, that's nothing. 1.5 million tons of superheated plasma per second out in the solar wind. Yeah, that's, if you guys stood in front of a campfire and you feel that heat and you get sunburned, imagine what 1.5 million tons of superheated plasma would feel like to a little water-based planet. I mean, oh boy, some serious damage. Well, let's go on with it. Speeds can vary a lot based on the sun's magnetic field, and from that region it gets emitted, but it can reach speeds of 750 kilometers per second. So it's interesting, just the damage of these. I just want to touch on this story. I mean, just because the solar flares itself and the sun is heating up into what seems to be maybe another phase of our sun here, but one obvious, you know, it could disrupt satellites. It could do all kinds of damage to that, missions. You know, the amount of radiation. You know, if we're trying to do space trip. I mean, the reach of the sun, the field of the solar wind from just our tiny star reaches out unimaginable. I mean, all the way out there, way past the furthest planet out there. You know, there's been a couple vids about where it shows like actually kind of like a barrier. They're calling it like a wall, but that's how far the heat actually reaches, way out there. It's insane, but just from that one little star. But you know, it would pay to really know the sun inside and out, because it could change the whole dynamic of our solar system, literally in a blink of an eye. I think we're pretty good on this story, so let's go check out the next one here posted. The biggest solar flare in 3 years is sign the sun is waking up, published by MLive, December 2nd, 2020. The biggest solar flare in 3 years just occurred. It's a sign of things to come as we enter the active phase of the next solar cycle. But you guys, I wanted to mention too here that we will have all the, in the description, we'll have all the links and everything, or you can check it right out on Facebook again to, you know, if we do miss something, or you can go over it, you know, if you found that thing interesting. But go ahead and make sure to check these people out too that are pushing these stories, because these are the people that are, you know, feeding us some really useful information. I think that's why they're picking up so much ground on Facebook, because they're actually science and there's stuff that, you know, it's not just balloons. You know, people that are into ufology are deeply into science and not just crackpot science. That was another cool bit. I thought it was pretty good. You check that out, but not the craziness that the sun's hollow and everything, but it's real damn star science. It's not some kind of, you know, voodoo stuff, man. Get real. But anyway, let's lead out here. It says Bob Rutledge, lead of operations at NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center, says that although the solar flare is beautiful to look at from NASA images, this one didn't really excite him. Yeah, he did get some excitement in just knowing there are many more sunspots to come between now and around 2025. Rutledge says it's kind of like the first inch of snow in November. That's why I said it's going to heat up to a roaring campfire, and we're going to see some incredible stuff out of our sun. We know it's not a big snowstorm by midwinter standards, but it's the excitement of the first snow. All right, let's look and see what else it says here about it. Number of sunspots since 2010, showing solar cycle 24, and now the beginning of solar cycle 25. So, see, it's a good way to keep track of it. But yeah, you can look back through this thing for decades, but it goes through its cycle, then it's going to go. But the solar flare that emerged this week on the left side of the sun was photogenic, but did not produce a big solar geomagnetic storm hurled towards Earth. So that's a good thing. Rutledge says the eruption in the sunspot occurred when the sunspot was not pointed towards Earth, which was good. Yeah, it was almost towards us, and the flare happened. So yeah, we got lucky. It just missed us. Rutledge says the Space Weather Prediction Center issues alerts on the strength of corona mass ejections, CMEs. So that'd be another interesting one there. Check out Space Weather Prediction Center issues. Check them out, the Space Weather Prediction Center. Scale of severity ranges from level 1, which is the weakest, to level 5. So that's something we're used to here in Florida. It's kind of like a hurricane. The most recent large sunspot only produced a level 1. Yeah, recent, but back 10 years ago. A stronger solar storm can bring increased radiation towards Earth and the famous geomagnetic activity called the Northern Lights. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, that's one good benefit of it, a little more colorful Northern Lights, but you don't want it to be really ripping at our magnetic field that much. So a stronger solar storm can bring increased radiation towards Earth and the famous geomagnetic activity. Sorry about that. A big sunspot can erupt many times, but Rutledge says this sunspot had one big explosion and it is beginning and now is weakening. The amount of sunspots will be ramping up and should peak sometime around 2025. Even though the peak of sunspots isn't expected for another 5 years, a major solar flare could happen at any time before the sunspot peak and from any sunspot. The strongest solar flares can produce northern lights at low latitudes in the U.S. While northern lights can be fascinating to watch, they do carry some risk for damaging the power grid. On the Space Weather Prediction Center's rating scale, a level 3 can have impact to a power grid with growing possible impacts as the levels go to level 4 and level 5. The rating system started in the 1970s. The last level 5 geomagnetic storm was in 2003. During that level 5 storm, northern lights were possibly visible down to the southern United States. Man, wow. That really intensified. I have to put it in perspective. NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center quantifies the strength of a solar storm heading towards Earth by measuring the energy racing past a satellite 1 million miles above Earth. Rutledge mentions the only problem with this location is the solar storm energy is only between 10 minutes and 30 minutes from Earth at that point. A major solar storm may only give us less than 1/2 hour warning. Jeez, I don't think that's enough warning. The lead time for 30 minutes would still give the Space Weather Prediction Center time to give a warning to power companies. The power companies could then take some steps to protect the power grid. This is the solar cycle 25 and is expected to still be a smaller cycle in the number of sunspots, Rutledge says. If you look at the longer past history, there have been much more active sunspot cycles. There is still no way to forecast a sunspot before it forms. We only latch onto a sunspot after an actual eruption. So, see, that's not good news either. That means we've got all this going on, but we can't have good visibility on stuff that's super important that we need to know. The most important point about this new sunspot is that the sun is waking up. So let's just hope it just wakes up real nice, like has a nice day, and then ends up getting tired and goes back to sleep. That's what I'm hoping. So interesting. I think that's interesting. You guys let me know what you guys think about it. I mean, you think we know more than that about it, or you think that's all, that's all we really know? I mean, SOHO's been out there now 25 years, and we got other ones. We got the Parker craft. We got other craft around there. So it's interesting, but let me know what you guys think. But let's move on to our next story here that's been posted here. Neutrinos prove the sun is doing a second kind of fusion in its core. Published by Universe Today Space and Astronomy News. You check them out, man. They have got some goods. Proves that we don't know. After we read this, let's check this out here. Like all stars, our sun is powered by the fusion of hydrogen into heavier elements. Nuclear fusion is not only what makes stars shine, it is also a primary source of the chemical elements that make the world around us. Much of our understanding of the stellar fusion comes from theoretical models of atomic nuclei. But for our closest star, we also have another source, neutrinos, created in the sun's core. Whenever atomic nuclei undergo fusion, they produce not only high-energy gamma rays, but also neutrinos. While the gamma rays heat the sun's interior over thousands of years, neutrinos zip out of the sun at nearly the speed of light. Solar neutrinos were first detected in the 1960s, but it was difficult to learn much about them other than the fact that they were emitted from the sun. This proved that nuclear fusion occurs in the sun, but not the type of fusion. So let's go on down there, check it out. According to theory, the dominant form of fusion in the sun should be the fusion of protons that produces helium from hydrogen, known as the pp chain. It is the easiest reaction for stars to create. For larger stars with hotter and more dense cores, a more powerful reaction known as the CNO cycle is the dominant cycle source of energy. This reaction uses hydrogen in a cycle of reactions with carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen to produce helium. The CNO cycle is part of the reason why these three elements are among the most abundant in the universe, other than hydrogen and helium. But what I want to say to you guys here, take a minute, we'll take a chill on the story, and we'll get back to this article in a minute, but is that, it's like when you think about it, and you're talking about science and everything, everybody's not going to know everything about, what I mean? Everybody that's into ufology or believes in aliens, it's like, you don't have to know everything about physics. You don't have to know everything about all of it. Engineering, spacecrafts, how to build them, be a rocket scientist, all that stuff. The important thing is just to understand and support what we're doing and the missions and basically the science behind it. The study of our solar system and the planets, that's a major thing. So the more we could do, that's why I say check these people out. Universe Today, show them a little love over there, all these other, we got to kick it around. We got to be involved. Even already the moon programs facing possible shortfalls in the budget already, and it hasn't even started. I mean, that's not good. So we need to support NASA, you know. We need to support SpaceX and any other space industry that's pushing for it, because they're going to be the ones with, you know, we're going to use the tools to find what we're looking for eventually. But okay, let's get back into the rest of the story here. Let's go up a little bit there, observer. In the past decades, here we are, neutrino detectors have become much more efficient. Modern detectors are also able to detect not just the energy of a neutrino, but also its flavor. We know how the solar neutrinos detected from Earth earlier experiments come not from the common PP chain neutrinos, but from secondary reactions such as boron decay, which create higher energy neutrinos that are easier to detect. Then in 2014, a team detected low energy neutrinos directly produced by the PP chain. Their observations confirmed at 99% of the sun's energy is generated by proton-proton fusion. While the PP chain dominates fusion in the sun, our star is large enough that the CNO cycle should occur at a low level. It should be what amounts for that extra 1% of the energy produced by the sun. But because CNO neutrinos are rare, they are difficult to detect. But recently a team successfully observed them, which is interesting. One of the biggest challenges with detecting CNO neutrinos is that their singular tends to be buried within terrestrial neutrino noise. Nuclear fusion doesn't occur naturally on Earth, but low levels of radioactive decay from terrestrial rocks can trigger events in a neutrino detector that are similar to CNO neutrino detections. So the team created a sophisticated analysis process. Of course they did. You got to have that filters the neutrino signal from the false positives. Their study confirms that CNO fusion occurs within our sun at predicted levels. So I think their predicted level was what, about 1% for the CNO? That would account for the extra energy. The CNO cycle plays a minor role in our sun, but it's central to the life of evolution of more massive stars. This work should help us understand the cycle of large stars like Betelgeuse, which we're finding out a lot about. Like now we're finding out that Joker's way closer than we thought. You know, first they thought it was getting some kind of weird shape to it, but no, it's not that. It's all right. And could help us better understand the origin of the heavier elements that make life on Earth possible, which would be good. So in a nutshell, what I'm getting from this is after 100 years of studying stars, we don't know a damn thing. All right, guys? Basically, I mean, come on. If we don't know that, if we don't know the basic function of this little star, really? I mean, what the hell are we doing? You know what I mean? And it changes every day to day. You know, which is fine. That's, you know, that's the way it goes. But it's a little bit, you know, we can't get a good view, so we can't even tell how many planets are out here entirely in our solar system. That's pretty sad. For one, it still takes us years to get to anywhere. You know, we don't even totally understand our sun yet, which, you know, it's interesting, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm being a little bit critical, but I mean, really? I mean, we don't even know, you know, totally, even about our moon totally yet. You know, and it's just, it's kind of frustrating. It makes you wonder. But, like, all right, guys, let's go ahead and we can go and move on to our next story here. You guys seen this one on Facebook? China turns on nuclear power plant artificial sun. Article published by Psych.org on December 4th, 2020. What do you guys think? You think making a man-made sun is a good idea? You guys let me know what you think. I'd like to know. Shoot me a comment anytime. We'll chew the space pad up about it. But let's go ahead and read this article. Sorry, guys. I need a little drink. All right. So China successfully powered up its artificial sun nuclear fusion reactor for the first time, state media reported Friday, marking a great advance in country's nuclear power research capabilities. So, I mean, we don't want to go either way with this, with people with nuclear stuff, you always want to think the best of people. We don't want to get, political and think this has anything to do with weaponry, but I'm sure it's for energy uses, so let's just stick with the story, okay? So the HL-2M Tomahawk, or Tokamak, reactor is China's largest and most advanced nuclear fusion experimental research device. Hang on a minute here, observers. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties, so just stand by and I'll get it ironed out. All right, we're coming back on here, guys. Sorry about that, observers. We're just working out some stuff. I guess we just had a little speed issue. We thought something more major was going on, but it's just a speed issue. So we're sorry if you guys are getting a little lag or not, but we're viewing it. We think it's coming out okay, but we'll work on that. But if you guys want to help us ramp up here at Aliens and Ghosts Live, you can slide over and check out some of our merch on our YouTube site. And we got some of the prices lowered there, but there's some neat stuff. Or you could check out, if you wanted to help us out, you can hit the old donate too right there on our YouTube channel. But let's get into the story. So, reactor in China's largest and most advanced nuclear fusion experimental research device, and scientists hope that the device can potentially unlock a powerful clean energy source. It uses a powerful magnetic field to fuse hot plasma and can reach temperatures over 150 million degrees Celsius. Yeah, that sounds safe. Ooh. According to the People's Daily, approximately 10 times hotter than the core of the sun. Located in the southwestern province and completed late last year, the reactor is often called an artificial sun on account of the enormous heat and power it produces. Development of nuclear fusion energy, which we're building smaller ones and stuff, but yeah, we're going to have to end up using that stuff, but it needs to be, I think, in a more controlled, not just really 150 million degrees Celsius. Yeah, I mean, come on. Chinese scientists have been working on developing smaller versions of nuclear fusion reactors since 2006. They plan to use the device in collaboration with scientists working on the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, the world's largest nuclear fusion research project based in France. So I want to stop and talk about this for a minute, you guys, because it's one thing to push science, in my opinion. It's one thing to push the stuff, but like when we start doing experiments, in my opinion, that, you know, which I'm sure, you know, everybody might have issues with, but if you're trying to create mini black holes, per se, or we're trying to create something as more powerful than the sun, or we're doing something wild with extreme magnetics, I think that could pose a threat, really, to, you know, Earth. Really, I mean, something like that goes bad. That's why I keep thinking, you know, that's why I think the history of the solar system is important, because what if Mars was fine? What if it was actually experiments that they were doing that blew their magnetic field to oblivion and then it ripped their atmosphere off? What if it was something weird like that? You know? We got to be careful doing these things. I don't know, you know, they're just, some of them are pushing the line of it, you know, especially the, let me know what you guys think, though. What experiments you think are too far? What do you guys think? Black hole experiment? For some reason, that one just creeps me out. I'm not sure what you guys think, but anyway, yeah. So we posted some really good ones, I think, about the sun. You know, you guys chime in, shoot me a comment anytime you want, or hit, you know, email aliensghostlive@gmail.com. But what Aliens Ghost Live TV is, like I said in the beginning, we're going to be reviewing some of that, and we're going to be reviewing some of the videos, recent videos that we put out. But I don't know, did you guys check this one out? And also, if you guys are following us on Facebook, if you could do us a huge favor, you know, if you are over at YouTube, go ahead and subscribe too if you are watching us, because we need to get them numbers up. You know, we're trying to go forward in a positive way, so help us out, share it. You know, we'd appreciate it. But anyway, one of our later vids is the suspicious UFO, which Scott started out earlier in that day with this right here. He was calling something, I don't know, you know, everything this dude sees he thinks is something. But you know what this really probably is? It's just space junk. I mean, we had like 3 or 4 things going to Mars at the same time, like I said in the video. And this could be just something like a booster releasing some fuel, because we can't let it go out to another planet, you know, loaded with fuel. So, but that's all this could be right here. But, you know, I review these SOHO images, you know, maybe, you know, it depends. Sometimes I'll do it once a week. Sometimes I'll do it once every 2 weeks. A piece of one of the Mars missions. Look at this, but here's what we found. Aliens Ghost Live right here. Straight up, that's what I think it is. 11/5/2020, time mark 13:30 though. Off to the right here, we're going to notice, like I showed you in the video. Hours. See what this is why I'm linking this together with the sun. An hour. What do you guys think? Earlier. I mean, you think this could actually be circle down here? You think this could be some kind of sun station, like a space station? Now, what is that? Well, we're going to get closer. We're going to get closer. I mean, you know, there's tons of experimental stuff we don't know about. I mean, is it possible? I mean, these SOHO images, you know, like I said, if it is possible, we have something that close that large to the sun. Why aren't we getting better data? SOHO craft is, and that's another question. Between us and the sun and everything, but if you guys checked out our old Lucky video, it does remind me of it, because it's got something in the center. You know, you can look at this thing right here and know that is not a comet. You know, that's not an asteroid. I know. You guys let me know what you think. I have been getting some good comments on some of our videos, and I appreciate you guys taking time. I've got some emails too. They're not showing up necessarily on the comments, but I am getting some. But look at this. I mean, it literally looks like a structure in the center. I'm calling it the suspicious UFO. Basically like a spider. Know what I'm talking about. But it's suspicious, that's for sure, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But look at this thing. But if you guys want to really help us out here at Aliens Ghost Live, let's take a break here, and you can check out one of our original commercials here. Look at it. It looks like look at the shape in the center of the sucker, and then, I mean, it reminds me of something else. Hey observers, just want to take a minute to show you some of the Aliens and Ghosts Live merch. Look at here. Couple nice coffee cups. Got a gray one and a white one there. Buttes. Oh, got a sighting. Look at that. It couldn't be. It's Neblum. Ooh. Really nice shirt. Really comfortable. Heard they're all pretty comfortable. Check this one out. This is nice. Look at this one, guys. Look at that. You can't even see me back there, things. Oh, Oh, got another sighting up. Ooh, coming out from underneath the TR3B. Look at there. Oh, the black version of the Aliens and Ghosts shirt I like to wear right here at Aliens and Ghosts Live. Nice stickers. If you guys want to help support us, let's go to our merch store. We've got links on Facebook, YouTube, and at aliensandghostlive.com. And I'll let you get back to the vid. We're going on. We're good. Everything's good. Yeah, we're just working out some of the stuff here. So let's go to the next story. Which we see here. Growing interest in limited moon resources. I thought this one was interesting here. Just because as soon as we find some little bit of water on the moon, you know, ice caps here and a little bit there, they're finding in the shadows. Everybody thinks they're going to rush there and just plunder this thing, but let's scroll down through the story and take a look here. New research indicates that limited resources on Earth's satellite can cause crowding and competition as site selection extraction becomes reality. An international team of scientists led by the Center of Atmospherics, Harvard Smithsonian, has identified a problem with the growing interest in extractable resources on the moon. There aren't enough of them to go around, which, yeah, that's common sense, right? With no international policies or agreements to decide who gets what from where, scientists believe tensions, overcrowding, and quick exhaustion of resources to be one possible future for moon mining projects. The paper published today in the So let's just roll on down here, guys.
Now it's not doing it.
Alright guys, sorry about that. Yeah, like I said, we're working the bugs out. We need to upgrade a little bit, but we're trying to push as hard as we can here at Aliens Ghosts Live. I appreciate you guys stopping and checking us out. So let's get right back into it. But yeah, there's not enough resources on the moon. This ain't rocket science. It's not filled with water and different stuff. I mean, it might have gold and other things on it that people aren't so sure about, but as far as water, nah, not a ton of that. But resources like water and iron are important because they will enable future research to be conducted on and launched from the moon. You don't want to bring resources for mission support from Earth. Yeah, you're going to have to. I hate to tell you guys this, but you're going to have to bring the resources. You got to. You need water to survive. You need it to grow food. If you don't bring, you got to bring everything basically from Earth. That's what they're getting at here. So, yeah, we're all right. Sorry about that. I'm just making sure we're communicating a little bit here, make sure everything's good. So you can check it out here. Lunar South Pole cold traps. 50 kilometers this, that. Okay, let's go on down here further below this image here. We'll go below the image. Interest in the moon as a location for extracting resources isn't new. An extensive body of research dating back to the Apollo program has explored the availability of resources such as helium, water, and iron. So you don't really remember a lot of that, but yeah, they were there looking for a lot of other stuff. With more recent research focusing on continuous access to solar power, coal traps, and frozen water deposits, and even volatiles that may exist in shaded areas on the surface of the moon. While a comprehensive we'll jump down here to the bottom, international legal regime to manage space resources remains a distant prospect, important conceptual foundations already exist and can start complementing or at least deliberating concrete local measures. Okay, let's cruise on down there. So let's start here, last two paragraphs here. Are these resources, say, areas or real estate at high value peaks of eternal light where the sun shines almost continuously? Or are they units of energy to be generated from solar panels installed there? At what level can realistically be exploited? How should the benefits from those activities be distributed? Developing agreement on these questions is likely. Yeah, we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to agree to certain things. And you're going to have to bring in resources. I mean, the moon's only got so many of them, so let's push on to our next story here. But that's interesting in a way, but check this one out. But yeah, we're going to have conflicts over resources, and then it might cause an issue like war in space. It would be a catastrophe. A return to rules-based cooperation is the only way to keep space peaceful. Published by the Conservation on November 30th, 2020. Which, yeah, I mean, we're so, species or whatever, we can't even get along here on Earth, so we're warring. We've been warring since the beginning. So what's going to happen, you think, when we're trying to find resources on our moon? There's good chance, 97% chance that there will be war, and that's sad. But let's just read into this here. It's a good article. Check it out. In 2019, U.S. President Donald Trump declared space is the new war-fighting domain. This followed the creation of the U.S. Space Force and a commitment to the American dominance in our space. Yeah, I mean, we might think it's warring against other countries. I mean, you might say that, but it's probably something else, I mean, we're advancing, trying to knock out asteroids, possibly. That Space Force could be up to that. Could be dealing with, sure, it probably has to do with other countries, just making sure, but could be other forces from other systems. So, I don't know, you guys let me know. What do you think it would be? The Space Force more for protection against alien races or human race? So let's just cruise on down through this. I mean, we know what's going to happen, but it's obvious. You're going to get out in space. Cooperation, not confrontation. The incoming Biden-Harris administration appears interested in international cooperation, and they're more cognizant of the challenges of climate change. Yeah, which, that's. I mean, I don't like political stuff. I don't want that stuff on aliens, ghost live, but. The whole climate change. Some people just believe in the science, just earth science. It's go back through an ice age and regenerate. But we can go, it's here and there. You let me know what you think. But pandemics and other global issues, a carefully collaborated space policy, which, we've worked together with other countries on a space policy for the last 60 plus years, and it hasn't seemed to have done much for us. Anyway, I don't think people are really following. So it leads us to our next story. Let's go ahead and jump to that, which is the elusive peril of space junk. So yeah, we've had agreements with other countries about this, but let's check the article out. But the space around Earth is just littered. I mean, we've taken no responsible effort, I don't think, in my opinion, from the beginning, of how to deal with launching things. And I mean, it's just littered. And one day we're going to need it clear, and it's not. There's too much junk. That's just one issue, and that's not even dealing with when we get to another planet about resources, but I mean, you can just leave all kinds of junk laying out there on every mission. But for decades, the International Space Station has been hovering over Earth in an orbit somewhere between 200 and 300 miles above sea level. Its massive rectangular structure resembling an Eisenhower-era TV antenna contains hundreds of thousands of solar cells and a series of pressurized modules that can support life and equipment. I don't know if you guys seen this, but the Lego's got the space station kit. That is cool right there, man. Talk about a cool Christmas gift. That's pretty neat. But yeah, it's complex, man. It's a ship. All right, back into this article here. Pressurized modules that can support life and equipment. All of it weighing close to 1 million pounds. You never really hear the weight, but that's pretty good, ain't it? 1 million pounds. Since 2000, people have been living on the station in an area comparable to a 6-bedroom house, humanity's most expensive real estate. The station is also the fastest structure a person can live in. It orbits the planet at more than 17,000 miles an hour, many times faster than the Earth's rotation. A day on the station from sunrise to sunset lasts just 90 minutes. In the early hours of July 16, 2015, members of the U.S. Air Force noticed an alarming development involving the ISS since the Cold War. The military has maintained an extensive space surveillance network. Every minute, tracking stations across the globe relay a cascade of data to the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. In a bunker carved deep beneath 2,000 feet of granite in Colorado, some of the information is set aside for NORAD and other national security organizations. Other portions are forwarded to the 18th Space Control Quadrant in California, which works to prevent collisions in the sky. Sometime before 3 that morning, the surveillance network glimpsed a hunk of debris hurtling towards the ISS, a well-known piece of space trash. It had been labeled object number 36912. Yeah, it's been numbered that because there's probably 180,000 pieces of junk out there. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And that's what I'm saying. Just by itself, threatening the space station. But down the road, we're going to need to do a lot more with that space, and it's cluttered up. So we've got to do something about that. All right, let's check it out. Extensive inventory of orbital artifacts known as NORAD catalog. It had been broken off a Soviet military weather satellite, which was launched in 1979 from a Cold War facility near the Arctic Circle. The cylindrical satellite, resembling an old-fashioned boiler, was designed to work for less than 2 years. In the ensuing decades, it had been shedding fragments. Oh, that's just great, ain't it? Just out there just shedding them fragments. But I think we get the point, guys, don't we, on this article? I just thought, some people might not know that, but so many satellites, so much junk. We just need to be more responsible when we are doing these missions and how we handle that. And just all this debris is just nonsense.